Did you know that ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
Hello friends and welcome to the Michigan Football Report Instant Recap Edition. I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan Football Insider, James Yoder. James, you were doing a little dance before we got on air.
Tom,
you're happy right now, man.
I'm feeling good. We got a victory. You've got a quarterback you think can go into the last quarter of the season with a chance to win every game. You've got Michigan, or you got Ohio State losing. You've got Penn State losing. Things are looking a little more rosy for this Michigan football team than they did just 2 weeks ago when they got absolutely humiliated on nationwide, national TV against Penn State.
A big win for Michigan. We'll get to those highlights here in just a second. But first, folks, today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app, the #1 app, really the only app, James, if you need last-minute sports or concert tickets.
Tom, I heard StubHub may be going out of business. You know why? It's because Game Time is putting out of business. I had 5 friends today telling me they got tickets for under $30 this Michigan game using the Game Time app, buying tickets less than 10 minutes before kickoff, a delayed kickoff. So it was
super delayed
kickoff.
It
was as late as you can go to get tickets. Game Time took care of them. They'll take care of you. Go to chatsports.com/tickets to download the Game Time app, iOS and Android, Tom, and it's free.
It is a fantastically reviewed app as well on
Highly
both
reviewed.
stores. Let's get to the highlights then here. A big Michigan win. We started the first quarter with some Brandon Peters highlights because, James, he didn't have to do much in this one.
Not much
The
Peters.
tight end screen throwback, Sean McCune waltzed in the end zone. Another look here, and you just see a giant opening for McCune. I think I could have scored that one, James.
You could have, Tom. You're not that fast.
I am not that fast. I am slow and small. Still first quarter, Minnesota gets on the board. Rodney Smith, the toss, gets to the edge, breaks a tackle, and gets to the end zone for the score. So first quarter, hey, we're tied at 7. We still got a ball game here. And then the running game takes over. Karan Higdon races off to the end zone untouched. It is a 77-yard touchdown run for Higdon. 13-7 now because Michigan missed the extra point. Chris Evans breaks the tackle, gets to the edge. Some bad angles as well, and Evans off to the races. He goes 60 yards on this one for the score. Michigan goes up 20-7. Third quarter, how about the game from Kaliki Hudson, James? You're going to strip sack him here. This led to a Karan Higdon 5-yard touchdown run. And then third quarter, 27-7. Higdon makes the guy miss, and then he's off to the races again.
Evans.
Chris Evans off to the races. A little back juke there, breaks the tackle.
Breaking this tackle.
Yeah, into the end zone for the score. Michigan goes on to win 33-10. They run all over Minnesota in this one.
Tom, the story of the game for me, it's the running game, but it's also Kaliki Hudson, because this is a guy we were almost ready to send to the bench last week, a couple weeks ago. He had the game of his life today, Tom. He had 7, I believe, tackles for loss, 13 tackles, 2 sacks, a fumble recovery. This guy was everywhere, but big credit to the running game, Tom. 200 yards for Karan Higdon, 191 for Chris Evans. I can't remember a time where Michigan nearly had two rushers. Outside Denard Robinson, that happened a few times where a running back had a 180, 190 plus Denard. I'm talking about 2 tailbacks had almost 190 plus. I don't can't remember that's happened.
Total of 19 carries for those two. Commenter here saying Scott Fristic says, almost had 400 yards rushing. Holy hell. Yeah. Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it.
Very few carries, Tom. 29 carries total. 16 for Higdon, 13 for Evans. You got to like that. I don't care if it's Minnesota or Illinois or anybody. This is a great thing to see of this Michigan offensive line that was much maligned last year, this year, 2 years ago. For a long time, Tom, they've been just thrown to the bus as underperforming. They've been coming together. We've had them as like our hot, hot or not hot for the last 2 weeks, Tom. We had Mason Cole in the Michigan man top 10. This offensive line is really coming together. I like what I see. Michigan gets the win, 33-10 over Minnesota and PJ Fleck, their new head coach.
All right, weigh in, folks. We want your guys' comments. Keep them flowing throughout the show. Who is Michigan's best defensive player right now? We asked this because Kaliki Hudson was a monster in this one. 13 tackles, I think 6.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble.
Tom, he was
God.
He was an absolute beast, and I think he started the year strong, just like Devin Bush did. And the last 3 or 4 weeks, he has had a tough time, Tom. He has not made many plays, but he is coming to play tonight. And you know what? His teammates were feeding off him because they were all over him. Every time he made his tackle, you had 9 guys kind of jumping on him, smacking his helmet. Khaliki Hudson, Tom, came to play tonight. And I think it's still Mo Hurst. If you ask me, it's still Mo Hurst is our best player on the defense. But Khaliki Hudson is making a strong push for that number 2 role. This is the best performance of any Michigan defender this year, outside of Devin Bush, game 1 against Florida. Yeah. And you've got guys, you have Hurst, you've got Gary, you have all kinds of guys in the defense. But I think that Khaliki Hudson.
We saw some Aubrey Solomon tonight.
Ooh, little Aubrey Solomon, 5-star out of Georgia, true freshman, kind of the next Rashawn Gary. He's going to be a force next year when Maurice Hurst goes. So Michigan's defense just played phenomenal tonight, Tom. And I'm just interested to see what happens on the stretch. I don't think the team has played this good in over a year, since probably midseason last year, and they were really clicking out all cylinders, except maybe the passing game, but they didn't have to throw the ball tonight, so you still don't know what we saw out of Brandon Peters.
I see votes here. It says Hurst, and then they agree with you that Hudson was fantastic in this one as well. Once again, folks, I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan football insider, James T. Yoder. A big win in this one for Michigan.
Yeah.
Wasn't all great, though, James. One play in particular I don't think many people saw live.
This is funny.
This is very funny. We'll get to this play. This is on the Sean McCune touchdown. First off, beautiful play design. That's not the bruh. James, it's what happens after the play. He silences his own crowd.
Yeah, what is he doing? Who is he telling us to be quiet there, Tom? He silences the Michigan football 110,000 people who waited an hour and a half to get this game to start, who sat through the rain, who drove through the pouring rain and the thunder. He's going to tell them to be quiet when they're cheering from a score touchdown.
I just don't get it.
Act like you've been there, bro.
Here it is. Like, it's laughable to me. Like, I don't. Like, did he think he was on the road or something? Like, just was like this is what he's used to doing is quieting the crowd?
The crowd explodes here. Look at him. Shh.
Like, why?
What is he doing? Why? Who is he telling to be quiet? He is going into the student section, I believe, Tom. I'm not exactly 100% sure. I didn't watch which end zone, but if you have been to the Michigan Stadium, which I've been to 50 times in my life, that end zone is either the student section or section 4 through, I guess, going the opposite way, 4 through 6, right, which is the other corner end zone. Either way, that is not the visitor section.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's not the visitor section. You can't make it happen. So, Sean McCune, little note of Barry Sanders' playbook. Act like you've been there before, homie.
All right, reaction poll time on Brandon Peters. Namely, folks, should Michigan have let Brandon Peters throw more in this game? Borderline a non-factor, and that's not really an insult against Brandon Peters, but that Michigan didn't really need him. He only threw 13 passes, completed 8 of them for 56 yards and a score. So, James, do you think Michigan should have let Peters air it out a little bit more?
Tom, you played Madden before, right?
All the time.
You played college football before the O'Bannon brothers banned it?
I still play NCAA 14 all the time.
Ooh, we got a renegade, Tim. I think you might be maybe breaking the law. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think so, but okay.
But what do you do when you're up at the end of the game and you put your freshmen, you put your backups in there? Maybe you keep your starters in. I don't know.
I run up the score.
But you know what you don't do? You don't hand it off 100 times. I would have let Brandon Peters throw, even on the two-minute offense. It's not like you're playing a team like Air Force and you're up 72-0, you're Rutgers. This is Minnesota with a 500 record coming into tonight. I would have loved to see, we didn't see Peters get any snaps when it counted early in the year. I would have loved to see Brandon Peters get some actual throws down the field, not to tight ends, not on screen passes, some deep passes down the sidelines, over the middle, to see what he's got, Tom, because you've got one more game that they'll probably win by this 2 or 3 scores, and then you've got 2 of the toughest 3 games you're going to play all season, back-to-back, 1 on the road, 1 at home, and you got to get this guy prepared to play against big-time competition. I think you can only do that by giving him throws, seeing what you can do down the field when you're up, and there's nothing to lose.
I totally agree, and I think P.J. Fleck would also understand. Minnesota's coach said, hey, we got a redshirt freshman quarterback. We got to get him more reps when we play better teams like Wisconsin and Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm trying to vote here on Facebook, Tom. I'm giving the heart all day. Yes, they should have allowed Brandon Peters to throw the football downfield more. You have got multiple starting receivers out, Tom. So it's not like there's a ton of experience at wide receiver. You have a tight end, Tyrone Wheatley, out. You've got an offensive lineman out. You've got a great running back in Ty Isaac out. So what are you waiting for? You got to get these guys game snaps if they're going to be ready to beat Wisconsin in 2 weeks, which seems like a tall order. Maybe Ohio State's not as tall of an order as we thought, Tom. but maybe it was just a letdown versus Iowa today. But you got to give him more throws. Brandon Peters needs to throw the ball 20 to 25 times in the game to get me confident that he can go 4-0 down the stretch in Michigan's last 3 games, plus a bowl game and an outside chance at a Big Ten championship game if all kinds of chaos happens, plus Michigan wins out.
I don't really think it's that much chaos. Maybe
need a couple losses that you're not expecting.
They need OSU to beat Michigan State, and they need Penn State to lose to either Maryland, Rutgers, or I'm trying to blank on the other team.
And then, of course,
Nebraska.
win out against 2 teams that are in the top 6 before today.
Yeah, so they're close to controlling their own destiny, but I wouldn't call it likely exactly. So, folks, keep your reactions flowing there. I see our boy, come on, son Harper, saying he's got NCAA 14 with the updated rosters, just like I do.
Hey, you know what? Come on, son. I think you need to come to Dallas. You need to get here in the studio, and I need to see you and Tom talk some football, but also play college football 2014. Because I just love this guy. Come on, son. This is one of our best guys. I love this guy.
You and I have played NCAA 14
Tom, we
before.
have played. It was like Kobe playing a 3-year-old in basketball. It was that bad. He kicked my mother-loving ass. It was not even close. It was what it was.
Next reaction poll, folks. Who was your Michigan man of the day? Was it Karan Higdon? Was it Chris Evans? Was it the incredible Khaliki Hudson, who was all over the field on defense? Or was it Brandon Peters, because Peters means so much to the way the offense plays right now?
You know, I want to say Peters, Tom, because he's just injected so much, I guess, belief in this Michigan football team. But for me, it is Karan Higdon, Tom. I'm putting it on my iPhone. I got the iPhone 10. I'm one of the few, the proud, the iPhone 10ers. I am pressing the like button as fast as I can because I just want to see Karan Higdon get more love. I don't know what Jay Harbaugh was thinking. Michigan had him as number 3 in the depth chart to start the year. He didn't start getting his carries to in time until almost the end of the preseason, into game 4, the out-of-conference games. What were you waiting for? He's so clear and far and away your best back. I don't even know what they were thinking of. But what you like to see, Tom, is you got Chris Evans, a sophomore, Karan Higdon, a junior, Ty Isaac's going after this year, but you still have Kareem Walker, who was hurt today. You've got a stable of running backs that you like coming back next year that's proved it 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Higdon's had another 200 game earlier this year. You know, the only guy I think has ever gotten 3 200-yard games in a season for Michigan in the history of the program is Mike Hart back in 2004 as a true freshman. So Karan Higdon's one big game away from breaking some Michigan football records, Tom.
All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app, the #1 sports app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, get it today at chatsports.com/tickets. James, you can save up to 60% off compared to the other ticket sites.
Tom, I've been telling all my people, I've been whispering to them, like, get the Game Time app, cheap tickets, 60% off if you wait to the last 10 minutes for the game. It worked big time tonight. I think people are going to start sending me money. They're going to Venmo me for all the money they save with Game Time. I recommend you do it too. Michigan's got another home game coming up in 2 weeks against Ohio State, but also Michigan basketball, Lions, Tigers. It is the ticket to use if you're living in the state of Michigan or, frankly, the United States of America. GameTime.com. or chatsports.com. I would say GameTime.co or chatsports.com/tickets to download iPhone or Android.
All right, let's get you to the highlights here one more time for those of you just now joining us. Early first quarter, here's some Brandon Peters plays to Sean McCune. He has a convoy of blockers and really no one to block. You'll see the other angle here. McCune gets the screen throwback and there's just nobody there. He waltzes into the end zone for the score. 7-0 Michigan. Minnesota, though, would respond. The toss to Rodney Smith. He gets to the edge, breaks the tackle, gets into the end zone for the score. We are all tied up at 7. Still first quarter, though, Michigan responds in a big, big way. Karan Higdon, he is off to the races. He will not be caught. 77 yards for the score. 13-7 Michigan after the missed extra point. Then it's Chris Evans' turn. He goes up the middle, breaks a tackle, gets to the edge, and some bad angles by Minnesota players later, and Evans will get into the end zone for the 60-yard touchdown run, 20-3. Third quarter, 20-7 now. Roll out to the right, Khaliki Hudson with the strip sack recovered by Chase Winovich. That leads to a Cronin 5-yard touchdown run, and then it's back to Evans as well. A handoff, and he makes a guy miss, and then it's off to the races again. Some more, we'll call them iffy angles, a little back juke right here from Evans. Breaks another tackle. He gets into the end zone for the score. Michigan combines for almost 400 rushing yards. They win 33-10.
Tom, it's what I hope to see. I didn't think Michigan would put together this many yards on the ground. I hope Peters would get a few more throws. I was expecting him to be something like 14 of 20 for about 150. 56 yards passing is, I don't know, that doesn't inspire confidence.
I can do it.
You could do it, Tom. But if you have two backs getting 200 yards, I'm not sure why you would throw. The offense seemed to be humming all day, baby. 2 touchdowns for Higdon, 2 touchdowns for Evans. This running game is just humming right now, Tom. This is not the first time it's happened. It's happened for multiple games in a row.
We'll get to some comments here in just a little bit. We'll get to some of those more recent ones. What a game, though, that we saw from that ground game, James. It was nothing short of fantastic.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, Tom. I mean, I just really want to know why Higdon hasn't been featured more. And Ty Isaac's out. I'll tell you what, that is a blow to this team because he is a big contributor. But Chris Evans has reemerged, Tom. We talked about him just 2 weeks ago being a guy who was out of the rotation as a running back, and now he's back in it. 191 is phenomenal in Big Ten play. 200 for Higdon. I think that this Michigan running attack is humming on all cylinders. And teams are going to start having to stack the box to stop them. And if they do, Tom, Brandon Peters is going to have to be the guy who throws the ball.
Are you concerned at all about the Michigan passing attack? I know that they've had some, let's call it, issues in general with the receivers, in particular with no Grant Perry tonight as well, who also did not play.
I'm very concerned. I mean, Kakoa Crawford has done next to nothing this year. Downey Peoples-Jones had just one short catch earlier in the game. The tight end saw a little bit, Tom, but really the only thing we saw of them was that screen to Sean McCune. And that was about it. When you get 8 catches, no one's going to have more than a couple if you're spreading the ball around at all. So this Michigan passing attack has done almost nothing this entire season. The only light you saw of them, Tom, was Tariq Black in the first 2 or 3 games of the year. He's been out for a long time, so not sure what to expect them down the stretch. You've got to hope that either they're saving something Wisconsin, Ohio State, or this running game is just too good to even pass. And it looks like that could be the case at this point. I just haven't seen them do it against a big-time team. They didn't do anything against Penn State. They didn't do anything against Michigan State. They've got 1 week to get it together. Then they've got Wisconsin and Ohio State back to back.
What do you think of the defense in this one? Rodney Smith had the 1 touchdown. That was kind of really the only Minnesota drive. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go for it on 4th down with the game out of reach. They kicked a very short field goal. I was kind of perplexed and surprised by that.
Yeah, I was as well. I mean, I think, Minnesota kind of played not to lose. They just didn't play very aggressive after Michigan went up early. I was actually underwhelmed with P.J. Fleck. I know they've got a lot of young guys. They said something like half the roster is freshmen or sophomores, and that's fine. And P.J. Fleck has proved he can be a winning coach in the MAC and a nationally rated coach and getting this job a little bit late in the coaching carousel last year. But in general, Tom, I thought this Minnesota team came unprepared to stop Michigan's running attack. And frankly, they played, they just didn't play inspired football. They didn't seem too aggressive. They didn't go for it on 4th down. They didn't kick the onside kick towards the end of the game. So I'm not sure what they were doing.
It was an interesting game there. Outside of the 1 touchdown drive, were you impressed overall with Michigan's defense, James?
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent...
I was a little concerned when it was 7-7. Like, oh no, here we go again with the Michigan defense giving up more points than we anticipate.
Yeah, I mean, the defense was very good. Only up 10 points. That they had Minnesota got the ball inside the 30 a few times, but Michigan was able to come up with some strong stops, Tom. Mm-hmm. And, I think Kaliki Hudson kind of came up big. Michigan has 5 or 6 guys who I think can be the leader on the defense at any given time throughout the year in any single game. So it's a good result. I like what I saw.
All right, James, I know that you want to do this. Let's go to Michigan Fan of the Day here. What do you have, James?
Tom, this is Michigan Fan of the Day. I'm away from home. I live in San Francisco, but I'm here in Dallas. So just before we went on, I got a couple of texts with the big Michigan win from my wife. This is Preston Yoder, Tom, and we're breaking news here nationally. This is going out to hundreds of thousands and millions of Michigan fans across the world. Jim Harbaugh is watching from his iPhone right now. Preston Yoder is ready to commit to Michigan. There's an offer out there, I've heard. He is ready to commit, but this is the fan of the day, Tom. Nobody is rooting for Michigan at a younger age, just 1 year and 2 weeks old, than Preston Yoder, San Francisco, California. He is a soft verbal commit to the class of 2035. I don't think Harbaugh will be the coach then, but I'm fairly certain Jay Harbaugh will be the coach. So it's father to son, James Yoder to Preston Yoder, Jim Harbaugh to Jay Harbaugh. We're going to pass it down generations. This kid's a star. I can tell you what, he's the Michigan's quarterback of the future.
Some good news for Preston, James. She looks more like Ashley than you.
Well, that's great news. I mean, I outkicked my coverage. We all know that. There's no questions there. So this kid's a star in the making, time. He's already throwing the ball 3 to 4 feet.
All right, let's get to one more reaction poll. Looking forward for Michigan, what will be Michigan's record the next 3 games?
Whew, man, Tom, I don't know. I don't know what game they're going to win out of those last two, but I think they'll win one. So I'm going to pull up my iPhone. I'm going to press that like button a few times.
You're going 2-1.
I think it's 2-1. If I had to put my money on it, I hate to say this because it's really tough to think that Jim Harbaugh will be 0-3. They're going to beat Wisconsin, I think. I don't think Wisconsin is. I mean, they've got more going on than Michigan. They're going to be in the top 5 in the polls this week. But I do think that they'll beat Wisconsin if I had to pick one. I think it's still 50-50 they'll win that game. But I just think Urban Meyer is a better coach, not just than Jim Harbaugh, than anybody in the Big Ten, than anybody in the country outside of Nick Saban. I know he lost big time today, but I just don't know how you're going to beat an Urban Meyer coach team that gets their team jacked up to win, that's got a fifth-year senior quarterback in JT Barrett, who has dominated Michigan for 3 straight years. I just don't see where the win comes in there. You're not going to tell me Brandon Peters is not going to perform JT Barrett, no matter what he did today with 4 interceptions from Barrett. So I think it's 2-1. I think they get the win versus Wisconsin, but ultimately fall to Ohio State.
I agree with you, James, because Wisconsin's a fraud.
Fraud. Whoa,
They're not that good.
Well,
they
allegedly a fraud.
Allegedly
a fraud. Allegedly. We can't throw out the F word.
We'll stick to that. All right, folks. Once again, I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is the Michigan football insider, James T. Yoder. That will do it for today's show. If you guys missed anything, the highlights, whatever, stay tuned. We'll play it again over here. But for producer Lena, for James, I'm Tom Downey. You guys stay classy out there.